All right.
All right.
Whoa, that's a lot of energy right out the gate. What is your most embarrassing childhood memory? I will say, I told her this beforehand. Usually I don't tell her the icebreaker question.
You knew it would take me a while to think of one.
I figured that you'd be sitting here waiting for like 10 minutes. So.
Well, and I think the reason is because I've always known that like I'm not cool. Like I don't really fit in.
So you think you have a lot of embarrassing childhood
I think I've just always,
You're constantly in
especially
a state of
as a kid,
Yeah.
like before I became like, screw you guys. I like stuff you don't like.
Yeah.
Before then, I was just like always kind of embarrassed to be
Yes.
myself.
I think you had an elongated period of that where like I went through that. Every teenager goes through that.
Yeah.
Right? But 2 years probably like out of middle school. Once I got like 10th grade, I was like, just don't care anymore. Whereas for you, it was a little bit longer.
Took me a little bit longer to reach.
Which is fine.
That. Yeah.
That's not a problem.
But I think the one that came to mind, and I guess I picked this one because we've talked about all my childhood love of PowerPoint before.
Oh, yes.
So there was one time we were having an issue with our family room desktop computer.
Okay.
And an IT guy came over to fix it. And I was probably like 11 because it was when I was really into Star Wars also.
Yes. Which is one of my favorite. Like you have lost this, but you were obsessed.
I love Star Wars still.
Probably more than me.
Yeah. There was a point where I knew everything about Star Wars.
Crazy.
And I had my PowerPoint open and like I was like just messing around on the computer and I didn't close out of anything before the guy came over and like the password. And so I was like 11 and this guy was probably like 25. So it's the point where you're like, oh, an older person, but like not too old that they're gross.
Right. Like right at that point, someone you want to impress, someone you want to be cool to.
And like, not that I'm like an 11-year-old trying to date this 27,
but
I'm
like
like
to think you're cool.
Right.
Yes, I know that feeling.
And like he wasn't super ugly.
Right.
Like he was like I don't know,
Relatively
fair
attractive
looking,
young man.
you know, whatever. And like my password to unlock my profile on the desktop computer was like Revenge of the Sith.
Oh, yes.
And I had Wikipedia open and
Yes.
like my PowerPoint slide on Kashyyyk and the Wookiees.
You are.
And I was like, this is the worst day of my life.
Oh man, I bet you just like wanted to sink through the
I just
floor.
wanted to cry. I just wanted to go to my room and disappear.
That's so funny. But I know that like when I played football, so when I started football when I was in 8th grade, and I just remember the seniors were the coolest people on the earth.
And now we're on the other side of it, and it's like, God, seniors are like toddlers.
So lame. And
I know.
Like, but in my 8th grade eyes, I was like, I just want these guys to love me and think that I'm so cool.
I know.
And it's just like nothing else in the world matters except if they think you're cool. And I just remember being in the weight room that summer from 8th to 9th grade, and all the football players would train together, and the seniors would always play Blink-182. And I loved Blink-182. And I was like, yes, we're the same. We can bond on this. And it was like the best moment of my life because they thought I was cool for my music choices.
Well, and I think one of like the first times I ever felt like, I guess, accepted, like as a somewhat older like person, was when I was in like 7th grade and I was in the high school musical.
Yes. Yeah.
And that was like not a thing that ever happened. You like had to be in 9th grade to be in the musical, but they were doing The Sound of Music, so they needed like a tiny person to play the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so 12-year-old me
who was basically in a 5-year-old's body
was the 5-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I was hanging out with like juniors and seniors who also thought that musicals and like singing and art were cool and fun. And they were really nice to me. And they didn't have to be nice to me or like they didn't have to, you know, invite me to sit with them at the cassette, but they did. Everybody was really nice.
That's awesome.
And in 7th grade, nobody feels very good about themselves.
No. I had
just been through a really hard time.
Oh, true. Yeah.
So I was really going through it, and they were really nice. And so it was like you liking Blink-182 around the same time. It was really cool.
So you think about how impactful that moment is, like, and then when I was a senior, or when I was even, you know, I became pretty confident, like 10th, 11th grade, not like overly confident, but
like you felt good about who you are.
I was secure in who I was, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, people like me generally. I feel pretty solid. So remembering like, man, what could I do for these younger, you know?
Yeah, just like how one nice thing makes a younger person feel at that age.
You, like, as the older person in that interaction, you're like, oh, it doesn't matter. It's not a big thing. But like for them, and remembering how important it was for one guy, I remember it was Mitch. looked at me and said, wow, you like this music too? That's awesome. And I was like, holy cow, I have ascended.
And it takes him no effort to say that.
He probably doesn't remember it. And I remember exactly where we were in the weight room.
Like what you were wearing, what weight you had just lifted.
And it changed me, man. It was like so impactful in that moment to be like, okay, cool. I have some validation from this older, cool person about what I like.
Yeah.
Really cool stuff.
Well, and I think that's such a wonderful lesson in life is just like saying something small and nice to any person costs you nothing. And it could be like something that they remember for a really long time.
So when and
the opposite, if you say something mean to somebody, that can be something that they remember because we've all had somebody say something offhandedly callous to us and we remember that.
Well, so it's so funny you say that because another instance of that was I'm a bear. I'm covered in hair from top to bottom. And I started growing this hair when I was like 12.
Yeah.
So it was unfortunate for me to take my shirt off when we were at the lake or at the pool and just be like a 40-year-old Armenian man, just covered in hair, right? And so and this was not their fault, but somebody made a comment about it. And when I tell you to my core for the next like 4 or 5 years, it was just such a problem for me.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like naring my back and like chemically burning my skin.
And they didn't mean anything by it.
No, they didn't.
It wasn't
They
mean.
did not think about it at all. It was just like, oh man, you're covered in hair. And I was like, oh Jesus.
Like, oh my God,
no.
I am. And nobody else is.
Right. And just the power that that's why it's such an interesting time to be in middle school and high school because it's not healthy to have other people's opinions hold so much weight over you.
But it's normal.
That's the only thing that you think about, right? You haven't built an identity that you can hold to yet. Mm-hmm. So those comments really do mess with you or can really boost you up.
Well, and I actually, as I was thinking about my embarrassing moment, I was thinking about how this might actually be something good that social media is doing. Like we rag on social media a lot.
I'm captain anti-social media.
But I was thinking about myself and how I tend to like things that like nobody else really likes as much as I do. But I think like Instagram and all of that lets people find their communities. So like I'm really into knitting and crochet and it's kind of a niche thing.
For sure.
But I found a ton of people who also love it. And there was something that happened recently. There's this guy who I follow, and he is like this incredible color work knitter. He is so amazing.
Yeah.
But somebody reached, and he has a pretty big following, but recently a lady reached out to him and she was like, my young son, he's like maybe 7 or 8, really enjoys fiber arts and crafting. And his cousin, who's a year or two older, is giving him hell about it. Yeah. And he wants to give it up, even though he really loves it. He doesn't want to get made fun of. And it would just mean a lot, to me as his mom, if like he could see somebody like you who loves this and thinks it's really cool. And this guy shared a picture of the kid with his mom's permission on his Instagram and was like, awesome. Everybody, like, this is her handle. Like, go say something nice to this kid.
That's great.
And it was just so cool because it's that young kid and like all of these like grown up men and women who think he's awesome and think what he does is really cool are lifting him up. And that's something that would never have happened without social media. Right. So people can really find their community in a kind of a beautiful way sometimes.
Like I always try and be very measured with my takes on social media because I do see the value in it. There is value, but that value quickly turns negative.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases. So there are ways
it certainly can.
As I always say, I am engaging in social media. I do this. I'm trying to build an audience. So I understand building. And the reason that I do this is because I'm passionate about building community around things that I love.
Right.
So when a lot of people don't know this, when I first started YouTube in 2017, all these videos are deleted, by the way. Don't even try and look them up. But it was a media critique channel because I loved movies and I was trying to build a community around movies. And now, with my interests and my passions and my occupation moving towards fitness, that's what I want to talk about. And that's what I want to build a community about.
Yeah.
So there's obviously great opportunities to build these incredible communities, but it's very easy for that to become toxic.
It is. But yeah, I think when you're careful about it and smart about it, you can really build a uplifting community.
And I think...
And I love that.
The problem that I have about it is more so like we just don't know what it's doing to the young mind, to specifically this age group where we're talking about.
I think we'll know pretty soon.
Oh yeah, and where we're talking about one person telling us something when we were 13 or 14, and that changing us for the better or for worse. Imagine hundreds of people telling you that is incredibly powerful, negatively and positively, right?
It's just on such a larger scale.
Tough, you know? But yeah, I mean, that's a hilarious memory. And what's so funny is from a female perspective and from a male perspective, that story could have gone two different ways because, men.
Yeah.
The big thing on the family computer is always pornography. It's always like, oh, Jesus, someone's going to,
And for me, it was like Chewbacca.
Chewbacca, like a Star Wars PowerPoint, right? So that was where my mind initially went. I thought that was really funny.
Not only is Star Wars nerdy enough, I was making a PowerPoint about it.
But yet now that would be awesome. You know what I mean? Or I would see a kid doing that and be like,
people
great.
give like friends, friends give PowerPoint presentations for fun to be like a joke.
It's really funny.
In 2005, it wasn't the coolest thing in the world.
But now, all right,
now I wish I had those PowerPoints.
My embarrassing memory is actually this object here.
I love this.
God, and this,
You've been begging me to throw that away
I've
for
been
years.
trying to get Sarah to throw this away since we moved like from Tallahassee to Atlanta. I was like, we got to get rid of this, and you refused.
It's so good.
Okay, so when I was, I think 10 or 11. I'm obsessed with, anime and cartoons and all that,
I think that's really cool.
And I still am to this day, but I always categorize myself as more of someone who can appreciate from the outside, but not someone who can create in that medium. Writing, drawing, all that type of stuff. I love it, but I do not have the talent or the passion for it. But I didn't know that when I was 11.
We all have to experiment and find our way.
So I was like, oh, I can do this. Let me write a story.
Sure.
So I wrote the story called, and I'm not reading any of it, but it's called Elemental Heroes and the Fight to Live.
I love it.
And let me tell you.
It's like 15 pages long. It's like,
horrible.
It's my favorite book.
It is the worst thing that anyone has ever written.
It's like a really cute story for a kid to write, though. It's about some neighbors. They like all live on a cul-de-sac, and like each of the kids has like one is like air, one's fire. So like the
I was big into the Avatar at this point, so I think that obviously there's a lot of Avatar in here.
Yeah.
The Avatar, not Blue People Avatar. James Cameron can burn.
No, like
garbage. The real Avatar.
The Last Airbender.
Aang, not Ong either. M. Night Shyamalan, come for me. I've got a lot of feelings about the Avatar, obviously.
It's a great show.
It's a great show, and the live action, just let's not talk about it. Anyway, it's very short because, again, I realized very quickly I really just don't have the talent for this.
You also were 11.
I was 11, true. But I'm very, even from a young age, I was very self-critical for good and bad. I realized very quickly, this isn't for me, And that was great because I got to experiment with a lot of different things. But there's also something to be said about, well, maybe if I had tried a little bit harder, I could have kept going and kind of honed my craft a little bit more.
Yeah.
But, I was a kid. I was 11. If we get to, let's say, 1,000 subscribers, I will read some of that. And
it's so good.
It's worth it, let me tell you.
It's
it is
really good,
horrendous.
Guys.
But, I just remember the move from Tallahassee to here, and we found it, and I had forgotten about it, and you started reading it, and that same level of embarrassment.
Did I make you feel? I don't mean to make you feel.
No, it's not.
It was
you.
really funny.
I love you. You're my partner. You know the good and the bad and the worst about me. So it's not that. It was just that moment of holy cow! Why did I ever think that I would be able to do something like that? And just reading back, because when I was 11, I was like, this is awesome. This is going to change the world. This is going to be turned into a TV show.
Oh yeah.
And then to read it back and just see how bad it actually is, it's just such an ego blow to be like, my guy, this was terrible.
It brings you back down to earth.
It really does. And that's probably a good reason to keep it. Because when I do start to feel good about myself, not good, but overly confident in myself.
Just read Elemental Heroes and
the Fight to Live, and it'll bring me right back down to earth. Man. Yeah. And, I've had a ton of embarrassing moments, but the blessing and the curse of my life is that my memory is so bad that I just don't remember. So that's great when it's embarrassing moments that you see these memes that
you can just move past it.
3 a.m. trying to go to sleep and your brain is like, do you remember that embarrassing thing you did in 6th grade? It's like, I don't. So I don't have those, but I also don't remember the moments. I remember, sparingly, but not like this huge tapestry of what happened to me when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I think you have more of a solid memory of like, well, this is how I felt at this moment on this day when I was younger.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't have that at all.
Yeah.
Very, very sparingly.
Yeah.
So, it's good to have physical evidence of like, dude, that's something else, man. Like, I don't know. So those are some embarrassing moments from us. Like I said, I want to kind of steer the podcast more to like our general lives. And like, I feel like with the podcast, I want it to be impactful for your fitness journey, wherever you are with your health and fitness. But I also want it to be a moment of, kind of building community. And if you have an embarrassing moment that you feel comfortable with sharing, I would love to hear about it.
And we'll read it on the podcast.
And we'll read it next week on the podcast with your permission.
Consent.
Of course. Absolutely.
You may tell us.
Yes. But it's just,
But if you post it in a comment, everybody's going to see it anyway. So we might as well read it out loud.
At that point, if you do post it as a comment, I'm going to read it because that's basically you giving me consent to read it out. But I think that it's easier to go through life with examples. And that's what community is about, So that's part of the reason why we do this podcast.
Yeah.
I want to talk briefly or not briefly about this phrase that I read a couple of days ago.
Okay.
I can't do everything, so I won't do anything. Right? And
we've all felt that though.
Absolutely. Like I don't want to, this person was writing this to say like, this cannot be an excuse anymore for me. I have to, and this just really, really resonated with me because I'm very much this type of person. I'm such an all or nothing type person where I just won't do it if I don't see the path of immediate improvement or even like my baseline is good. And I think becoming an adult first and foremost, and then we'll kind of move it to fitness, but becoming an adult just in general life is understanding that trying new things, you are not immediately going to be competent.
Right.
In fact, it's going to take you an incredibly long time to even get to the level where you think you should be when you start.
Yeah. Because it can be overwhelming to feel like there's so much to do. Yeah. Not even with like having a goal, but even just like having a to-do list. Like when you get a little bit behind on stuff, like honestly, today I kind of like this week, I've kind of had the feeling with the laundry.
Yeah.
I had a really busy week at work.
And we had a busy weekend the weekend before. My parents were in town. So we got out of that.
Like I was working 10-hour days, so I didn't fold the laundry, which usually I try and do pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So that was really full. And then there was another load in the dryer and then to wash it. And I was like, I'm never going to get all this done. This is terrible. I cannot do it. And I was just going to ignore it today too.
Right. Because it's so incredibly overwhelming at this point, right?
But it's already folded.
Exactly.
It's like, you know what? It's like, I'm not even going to think about what's in the dryer. I'm not even going to think about changing the bed sheets today.
Yeah.
I'm just going to fold this basket.
Yeah.
The one basket that's been staring at me for the last 5 days. Today's the day.
Yeah.
It's going to be wrinkly. I'm not going to sweat it.
Yeah.
It'll work itself out as it hangs in the closet. We're just going to fold it and we're going to put it away. And that's enough.
But the beautiful thing about that is now you built momentum with that.
You build them, and I also folded the ones that were in the dryer, and now
and the sheets are in the washing machine. Everything's
back
good.
on track.
This is what I'm saying,
and that's a very simple example. And
no, but I think that is a pure example of this principle.
Yeah.
It's like we can get so overwhelmed by the whole of the checklist
that you just don't do any of it.
You don't do it. It's very human. I do it all the time,
and you don't have to complete the whole checklist today.
Right.
That's another great thing to remember. It's like, you know what? If not everything gets folded today, nobody's going to die over it. I'll just do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day.
One of my favorite quotes that I go to all the time, I have it on my phone. I'll just read. I'll read it word for word. Yeah, because it's so powerful. I don't remember. Probably Instagram. You scroll through these stupid motivational quotes all the time.
Tumblr. You're a Tumblr girl?
I'm a Tumblr girl. Okay, so it's by George MacDonald, and George MacDonald was C.S. Lewis's mentor.
Oh, okay.
But it's no man ever sank under the burden of the day. It is when tomorrow's burden is added to the burden of today that the weight is more than man can bear. And I just think that's super powerful because when I look at something, when I like I'm in a weight loss journey right now, when I look at that and I see the 12 weeks spread out in front of me, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to deal with so many hunger issues and all this and that, and I may lose strength in the gym. It becomes so overwhelming that I'm bringing on the burdens of tomorrow onto today, and that's when I start to sink. So it's just so powerful. I just reflect on that every single day. I'm like, just Deal with today, my friend. Deal with today. Tomorrow's not promised, first and foremost. So why worry if you don't know? You do not know.
Yeah.
You could be gone today, right?
That's
All
true.
you have is this moment.
Right.
Don't get so bogged down by thinking about the future. Easier said than done. I hear you in the comments. Right. Anxiety is a thing. You're going to, right?
Oh my God. For me, absolutely.
You have to battle it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, your perspective needs to be, okay, I've been given this day. I've been given these tasks. Can I complete them? Yeah, probably. If it's just one day. If I don't bring on extra work, it becomes very easy.
Well, and to consider, what do I really need to do today?
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
I need to feed myself.
Yep.
Maybe take a shower would be good.
Yep. And sometimes it can be that granular. Sometimes it can be, I just need to do this thing.
I need to get through to, like, I'm in a hard season right now. What do I need to do to make it through today? These are the things. If we also manage to fold the laundry today, whoop-de-doo, extra credit. And that's fine.
But to take this to fitness, because I see this all the time. All the time. One of the biggest excuses is like, I have so far to go. I can't. I will get crushed by how much I have to get done. And I'm with you there. I understand that because for, 4 years, I said, my God, I'm 330 pounds and I want to be 250 pounds. That is a huge number. I cannot do that. And then I wouldn't.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Right.
I'm not even going to
I'm with you on that.
it. Yeah.
But what really changed me was understanding it does not have to be everything and it doesn't have to be perfect at the start. And so for me, it was literally just waking up on time. We talked about this. And then that snowballed. But that one thing was something that I could grab onto and say, this is my one task.
Like today, I'm going to wake up on time.
Whatever time was for me. And that was 9 a.m. It wasn't very difficult.
Which compared to now, that's sleeping
6.
in by like hours.
And it's not even a problem for me now. But in that moment, it was incredibly difficult. So when my tactic usually when somebody comes to me or they apply for coaching online is I just want you to get started on one thing. I love to hear about your massive goals. That's great. But I always try and end the call or end the meeting with, well, what is the one thing we're going to put in action tomorrow to start you on? And usually I'm the apostle of walking. I'm going to preach about walking until the day I die. Usually it's just, let's try and go for a 20-minute walk tomorrow or
hot
10-minute
girl
walk.
That's like a thing. The hot girl walk.
Well,
I see that all over my YouTube shorts.
Well, good.
And I think it's great. I think anybody can go for a hot girl walk.
I think that's
you don't have to be a girl.
That's why I gravitate to it. Right, exactly. Anybody.
You can be any person.
The non-gender specific walk.
You can go just on a walk.
Right. But I think what's so impactful is most people, now obviously there are people who do not have the use of their legs, but most people can just get up and go for a walk.
Yeah.
And you don't need fancy clothes or shoes or a gym membership or anything.
It doesn't have to be any specific distance. You can walk down your driveway and back.
Right.
That's a walk.
Right. And I just think that, so find your walk, whatever that is. Maybe it is getting up. Maybe it's eating one less donut than you normally do for breakfast.
Or having like an extra glass of water.
Dude.
That's a big one for me.
Oh my gosh. It's a big one for everybody. You're all dehydrated, I promise. But,
But you know what? I had the same goal. Like now I drink almost like 2 of my 40-ounce Stanleys a day, which for me is like drowning in water. But anyway, at first it was, okay, if I can drink 1 32-ounce Yeti every day, that's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And then it was 2. And now,
But during that process, did it feel overwhelming to you because you started low or no?
I had to think about it and remember to do it. Yeah. And there were days when I got to the end of the day, I'm like, I've only had a third of it.
Yeah.
And then I'd like at dinner, like as I was cooking dinner, just like chug 20 ounces of water. Yeah. Because I didn't want to drink it too late and then like wake up in the middle of the night and have to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
So like there were times, it was a conscious effort. It was something that had to be thought about and done on purpose. Yeah. But it wasn't hard.
It wasn't difficult.
It wasn't hard.
Yeah. And I think that
and then it became habitual and easy.
Right.
And then you can take, okay, it's habitual and easy. Now I'm going to drink 2.
Yeah.
And you have to think about the first one goes easy because this is your habit now. But then it's like, oh yeah, I have to fill it up and I have to drink another one. okay, yeah, let me remember to
Right.
do that. And then it becomes habitual and easy.
It's so powerful. We are given such a superpower of our brain being pattern forming and pattern recognizing. And it can be so powerful to the point where, you know, my mornings, I'm half asleep, but I'm still hitting everything that I need to hit to get myself going. And it's because I put the effort in early on to build the habit and to build the pattern.
I remember when I started working from home, I like sat myself down and said, okay, your morning routine can look like whatever you want it to look like now. Like what are 2 or 3 things that you want to do every morning?
Yes.
And you can do those things now. You don't have to like
rush out
wake up, get dressed, put on mascara, drive 30 minutes to work. You have, and my first couple weeks of work, I was actually starting an hour later than I do now.
Yeah, you had a ton of time.
So I had like 3 hours in the morning to like
do whatever,
do what I wanted. And so I really thought about it and I wrote it down. So the first like week or 2, I was like, what did I want to do? Oh yeah, I wanted to do this and this and this. Now it's been 5 or 6 months. And I just like, one of the things was I want to put away the dishes that are drying overnight. I want to put them away in the morning. I never used to do that. I would put them away as I was cooking dinner.
Well, and that was a huge stressor for you. To see dishes in the sink was not.
I don't leave dirty dishes in the sink overnight.
And I could have done
but this was like clean dishes. It was like putting, but now I'm like, every morning as my coffee is brewing, I just put away the like 10 things
that we went through the day before
that we used to cook dinner.
Yeah.
And then they're put away for the rest. Now I don't even think about it. At first it was like I would be standing there watching my coffee drip out of the Keurig and I'd be like, oh crap.
Oh, I'm supposed to be doing
I'm supposed to put these away.
Yeah. I've had that exact moment where it's like, oh, what am I doing?
And now it's like,
no, I missed it. Yeah.
And I was like, I'm just standing here staring at my coffee. Am I supposed to be doing something right now? Oh, I'm going to put the dishes away. This is my new thing that I do. I put away the dishes in the morning.
Right.
Run, put them away. And now it's like, okay, brew 10 strong, go.
Right to it.
Put it away. And we tend to eat the same things for dinner every night. So it's the same dishes. Now. So now it's the point where I put the dishes away almost in the same order every day. It's like I put away the cutting boards, then I put away the pots, then I put away like I kind of work my way around the kitchen.
It's a power routine, baby.
And I don't even think about it. I'm just like cutting boards, pots, measuring cup, knives, forks.
Yeah,
and done. Then I hear the Keurig. I'm like, coffee's done. On to the next. And it was really great to sit down and think about, my ideal morning and, take the time to let that become a habit.
Well, I think you talked about something really powerful in there was that you wrote it down. Because I listen, I'm a smartphone guy. I love putting notes in but when you actually take out a pen and paper and you just write it down, it's more powerful, I feel. It's more real.
Well, and like I have a really good memory. We've talked about this.
Truth.
But I still needed to reference back to what I had thought about and what I had decided.
Well, I also think that just the action of you putting it on paper makes it more important to you. Because we are so smartphone dominated.
It's like you take the time to pull out a piece of paper, pull out your favorite
Who can find a piece of paper, Like,
oh, come to my office. I got paper.
You're a different human being. If I wanted to do that, I'd be screaming for you. Like, where's the paper?
You'd come up to my office and say, do you have any Post-it notes?
But I'm just saying,
I have 15 kinds of Post-it notes.
It's powerful, man. It's powerful. The other thing I wanted to talk about as it relates to fitness before we get into the fitness question of the day is I'm on a new weight loss journey.
Yes, you are.
Which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah.
I kind of wanted to talk about how I go through setting up some of this stuff. And I'm doing this mainly on my Instagram. So if you want to follow me there, I don't even know what my handle is. Good Lord. It's linked in the thing. If you want to follow me there.
Look it up?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
Jonas 70 Johnson, I think is what it is.
You're right.
But I'm putting out weekly reels about my process. So if you want like bite-sized pieces, you can look it up there. But I did want to talk about just like getting going.
Well, because we talk a lot about setting long-term and short-term goals.
Yeah.
And I think this will be a practical application of that.
Yes, absolutely. So the long-term goal is through experience, I've learned that 12 weeks is about my cap. And where I start to feel really run down after 12 weeks, hunger gets really
burnt out.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I like to keep things to 12 weeks. So I'm doing a 12-week weight loss journey, and I would like to lose 25 pounds. Now, I'm not married to that number, I picked 25 pounds because it was like, 10% of my body weight or whatever.
Okay.
I weighed
and that's feasible to do in 12 weeks.
Absolutely. And it would take me to where my weight cap would be for my next powerlifting competition.
So 25 pounds gone is what?
So I started at 303 pounds. I want to end around 275.
Okay.
Right? The starting weight was very inflated because we had
the busy weekend.
a pretty hedonistic weekend where I ate my weight in crepes.
And we told you did.
Dude, I love a good crepe.
We went to a great breakfast place.
Yes.
And I'm not saying the name of it because the place
we're
was
keeping it hidden.
Yeah, we didn't have to wait.
Dude.
For 6 of us. We just sat down at a table.
And it was good.
And everything was huge.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, me and Abby shared because we both looked at the menu and I'm like, Abby, I can't eat 4 pieces of bacon, 6 eggs, and 3 pancakes. That sounds like about half of what I can eat. Would you like the other half?
Meanwhile, your boy on this side of the table saw that and said, and I will also take an order of 3 massive crepes.
Peach crepes.
And a bagel. Dude. So
and you ate it all.
Oh, I loved it. I love breakfast food. My weight was inflated from that. True weight was probably like 298.
Yeah.
Just based on water weight and all that.
Yeah.
But that's important to realize, like, what's really powerful about your first couple of weeks of weight loss is you're going to see that rapid change just from the fact that maybe your sodium has come down or you're focused more on hydration or you're sweating a little bit more. You're going to lose a lot of that water weight.
Because you saw that. Like you weighed yourself last night, I saw before we went to bed.
Yep.
And it was what, 298?
298. And then I woke up at 294.
This morning.
So that was 4 pounds overnight.
Yeah. And almost 10 pounds down from the beginning of this
right,
week.
Exactly.
That clip is not going to continue over the next 12 weeks.
That was what I was going to say, is that first week can be really encouraging if you let it, but then when week 4 comes around and you are grinded to a halt of maybe like a pound or maybe a half pound, you have to understand physiologically that's how it's supposed to work.
Right. Nothing is wrong.
Yes.
You're not accidentally eating too much olive oil.
Right.
Like you're good.
You're good.
That first week was just like
it's your body reacting.
Your body gives you some extra credit for this new effort that you're putting in.
Which feels really, really good.
Yeah.
It really does. Until you get to week 4 and it's like, oh my God.
Well, because I think it's easy to see that happen and be like, am I the best at this?
Yeah.
Am I?
It's like, I'm going to be done in 8 weeks.
Like, am I killing this right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you get to like week 4 and you're like,
I am not killing this.
Turns out
I hate every moment of this.
Turns out I'm just a regular guy.
Yes. So that's the long-term goal. And then the short-term goals that I've put in place, again, I have the incredible value of experience here because I've done this a lot.
Yeah.
So I know how my body responds to this type of stuff. So I've been able to keep my calories a little bit higher this go around and instead create more of a deficit through my daily energy expenditure. So my short-term goals was every single day on training days, I get 13,000 steps. That's just a baseline way for me to say, okay, I'm moving a little bit more than I did when I was not in a deficit. And then on non-training days, it's 15,000. Again, to just continue to increase that deficit. That way, because my fails from my diet usually come from incredible hunger signaling and me losing willpower towards that. Some people fail because they start to lose energy. Some people fail for any number of reasons. For me, what gets me is I'm so hungry. I'm just going to eat. So if I can start the diet with a little bit of a higher calorie intake and create the deficit through my movement, I'm better off.
That works better for you.
Because now when I do have to take food away, because at some point I will reach, your body will adapt. You'll have to come down in calories. My ending calorie count is going to be 2,600, which is very manageable for me. It's hard, but very manageable. Whereas if I had not created the energy deficit through my movement, I would end around like 2,200, which at that point, I'm toast.
And what are you do right now?
3,000.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, my maintenance is usually around 4,000.
That's wild.
I'm a big
to
boy.
Me.
I'm
you
a big boy.
Are a big
300
boy.
pounds, been strength training for 7 years, so I've built a good base of muscle. I have decent metabolism.
I don't think I could eat 4,000 calories.
2 days probably would take you to get there.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. That's why it's important to understand every body is different. Every metabolism is different, right? Like you cannot.
I probably could eat 4,000 calories in one day.
Oh, if you were drinking?
Yeah.
For sure. And not even alcohol. I'm saying
like drinking
like a Frappuccino is 1,000 calories.
The grapefruit juice that I bought at the store today.
It's possible. But
it would take me a lot of effort and I couldn't do it 2 days in a row.
Right. I think that is very valuable. It's important to, as you're watching this and you're hearing how I'm setting stuff up, understand that your body is going to be different. You may have great willpower when it comes to hunger and just not want to exercise as much as I do. That's totally fine. You can take some food away instead of I love to move. I love to be outside. I love to walk, all that stuff. So I tend towards more movement to create my deficit. That's fine for me. That may not work for you, right?
Yeah. I have a question. So your long-term goal, lose 25 pounds.
Yes.
You said one of your short-term goals, increase your movement to this amount. Do you have short-term goals of like pounds per week or?
That's an interesting question. I have done that in the past. I do not have that.
You're not doing
right
that now.
No, because it hasn't been as beneficial for me in the past.
It just becomes a way to beat yourself up.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
hyperfixate on it a little bit more. And during one of my short-term goals mentally is to not be so obsessed with the scale because that does kind of tilt me towards obsessive. And I've noticed that through experience. I've done this a bunch. So that's why I'm weighing myself at night and in the morning because I'm kind of taking some power away from it. Because for me, when I see that crazy fluctuation overnight, I'm like, oh, this isn't even real. Like, you know, it just takes some of that initial sting from looking at the scale away.
Well, it's like you see some higher numbers, you see some lower numbers.
It's more of an average, which has been really helpful for me. Some of my clients, I recommend we don't even step on the scale and we just look at mirror, how clothes are fitting, your general energy. Again, it's about what works for you.
Yeah, that's more what I do usually.
And I think that that's very healthy for a lot of people. But for people that maybe do not have the same trauma with weight, the scale really isn't their enemy. And so then we can be very, I want more data. Because at the end of the day, scale data is the best representative of true weight loss that we can get.
Well, yeah.
Right. But we have to weigh that with what are the mental costs of you, because some people can weigh themselves 3 times a day and see how the food is affecting them, and not have any adverse effects. Whereas that would be incredibly detrimental to a lot of people.
I just wouldn't remember to do it, first of all. But yeah, if I weigh myself, I mean, the 1 or 2 times I've ever like tried to lose weight, maybe every 3rd day. Weigh myself.
Yeah, I think if you,
it's about all I ever did.
If you find yourself middle of the road where you're not really tilting towards obsessive, but you're also not afraid of the scale, for lack of a better word, just once every week.
Yeah,
it's all you need. You'll be able to extrapolate out if it's working or if it's not. And so on top of that, I'm also trying not to lose any strength. In fact, trying to gain a little bit of strength because I'm in such a surplus. Or I'm way higher than where I normally am. I'm in this, 3,000 calories with 250 grams of protein is a good nutritional context to be able to still, if not gain muscle, to preserve all of my muscle tissue, right? So that's another one of my goals. I'm basically just trying to keep my weight training incredible.
So keep your, maintain your strength training.
Yep. If not gain.
Right. Increase your steps.
Yep.
So to meet that goal every day.
Yep. And then to eat. So my goal.
And the calories.
So the calories thing, what I wanted to do for this was not so much focus on the number, but where I've gotten in trouble is not fully track. So I'll play games with myself where I'll be like, oh, I just had another English muffin. I'll just track 1. So the goal for me,
it's 100 calories. It's not a big deal.
The goal for me this time around is not so much care about did I hit my calorie goal, but did I track everything that came into my body? And I've been doing really well with that. I'm in such a good place right now that I can see the number go above 3,000 calories. Because some days you're going to have that and some days you're going to be under. And not feel any adverse effects from it, which has not been my experience in the past. So I'm feeling very lucky with where I'm at right now. And I think that's just, me being around this for longer and having more experience and understanding that I'm losing this weight for my own personal reasons. I'm losing this weight basically so that I could make a series out of it, so that I could teach people how I go about it and hopefully they can get something out of it.
Well, and you did want to lose weight anyway.
Yes, because I do want to compete again and I want to compete at 275.
Right. So
if I can get there and kind of hold there for a while.
Yeah, but it is a great teaching opportunity for you too.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. So if you have any questions on my process, you can join our Discord. I take a ton of questions there. I'm trying to re-liven it up. The link is in the description. You can DM me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, and you'll get a weekly reel. Maybe doing more than that, but for right now, I'm just putting out every week. I'm going to put out an update.
And it is Jonah 70 Johnson. I looked it up.
So that's me. Wow. We've been going for a long time.
Oh, really?
40 minutes in.
Oh, damn.
Jeez. Let's do the fitness question. Or do you want to skip that and do the am I the a-hole?
Surprise me.
Let's do the fitness question.
Okay.
I like fitness.
I know you do.
And this is a fitness podcast. Let me live. Let me live my life. Okay.
Fitness.
I'll use a belt and straps for my AMRAP sets on deadlifts. So AMRAP is as many reps as possible.
Okay.
So it just means...
He does the belt and the straps.
And straps, yes. So it just means he's going for a massive amount of reps.
Okay.
And I swear to God, it makes the weight feel like 30 pounds lighter. Is this normal, or is this something that I need to focus on more? Belted squats also feel way lighter to me. I'm worried I'm neglecting something. Fantastic question. No, you're not.
Well, that's why they don't let you use the straps in competition.
Exactly. So
Can you use a belt in competition?
You can, yes.
Okay, but no straps.
No straps.
For this particular reason.
For powerlifting. For a strongman, you can use straps.
Sure.
These.
So then it wouldn't be very fun to watch if you couldn't use the straps in a strongman.
Yeah, true.
Like, it would be way less fun.
Yeah, because with the straps, the strong,
you can lift
they can
all kinds
really
of
go
stuff.
crazy.
Yeah.
So these tools are incredibly impactful because they allow you to remove. So I'm going to use the term limiting factor.
Sure.
And before I use this term, I want to define it a little bit. So if you are doing a deadlift and you're not using straps and you get 8 reps and then the bar rolls out of your hand,
your grip.
Your limiting factor was your grip.
Yeah. I think another word you could use would be barrier.
Yes. But your back, hamstrings, glutes, all of the primary movers are not taxed at all, or are taxed, but
they could do more.
Exactly. That would be a situation in which you're leaving development of the deadlift on the table because your grip is letting you down. Now, you can say, okay, I'm going to strengthen my grip, but if you're a powerlifter or a strongman, no one's going to test your grip. They're going to test your deadlift. So you have to then employ these tools to continue to train the actual movement that you want to train. So I see all of this stuff about like, oh, no straps, no belt. This is how, no belt in the wild, man. This is how the real men lift. Okay, I get you. Cool. You're not impressing anybody, dog. You're not impressed. Like, if your goal is to lift the most weight in the constraints of the sport that you are lifting in, and you are not using everything available to you,
you're leaving.
You're wasting your time.
You're leaving progress on the table.
Exactly.
Well, because then using the straps, and correct me if this is way off base, but you're using the straps to be able to do more work on the muscles that are doing the actual job. So then that muscle tissue gets better.
Yes.
And then your 1 rep max, which wouldn't tax your grip strength anyway, will be better had you never used the straps at all.
In an ideal environment, yes. Now, I don't want to say use straps on everything all the time. Obviously, they need to be employed in moments and they need to be removed in moments. I did a whole video on lifting straps. I would love for you to go watch that.
It's a good video.
It's one of my better videos. I really liked the way that it came out, and I really liked the message of it in that don't restrict yourself needlessly, but also don't let anything become a crutch. You know,
right, because when you compete, you are going to have to take the straps off.
There are no straps.
Yeah.
Right. But there's this problem in the fitness industry where it's like all or nothing. It's like, I'm going to be an alpha, never wear a belt. I don't wear straps. I'm just bleeding from my hands. And I've only been able to deadlift 3 reps. But you know what? I'm an alpha. It's like, dude, bring your brain to training with you.
Yeah.
Understand that there are times for these assistance tools and there are times not to use them.
Right.
It drives me freaking crazy. All or nothing should never be in your vocabulary in the gym. There are times for everything, right?
Yeah.
But you're right in that volume is a driver of progress. So if you can do 10 sets of 10 on the deadlift, which is insane, but let's just keep it round numbers, right? That volume is going to drive so much growth if your grip is not causing you to stop after set 4.
Right.
And then as you peak and teach that muscle that you have built through the volume to be explosive and powerful on a 1 rep max, most likely your grip is not going to be the limiting factor.
Like your grip's not going to fail out on one rep.
Most likely. There are moments where, and I'm talking more to intermediates here, because when you're a beginner, I think there is value in just going fully raw, no belt, no straps, understanding how your body moves.
Well, and at that point, it's like you're a beginner. You don't know if you're really going to take it to the next level. These things can add up and be expensive.
They cost money, yes.
So like you're a beginner, don't sweat it. You can still have great improvements without all this extra stuff. If you really love it, like weightlifting, you can buy all that stuff later.
True. And so with all my clients, I'm like, it's so, I have a client who started with me and we were doing, bodybuilding work. She was trying to lose a little bit of weight. She was trying, she was a runner. She was shifting over. And as I introduced the powerlifting movements, she was like, I really like this. And there was a moment where I was like, I need to buy all this equipment. I was like,
pump the brakes.
Yes. You will have moments to be able to buy all this equipment, but also the base that you've built being raw and your grip strength is getting better, all that type of stuff. Now, when you bring the assistance tools with you, it's going to be so much more impactful for you, right? Because you've already built that base, and now you can start to really get stronger off of the base.
And make the most of the tools
that
you've added in to your repertoire.
So again, it's all about bringing your brain with you when you train.
Train your brain too.
If there's one thing that I leave this earth, it is that we have brought intelligent training to the forefront.
Train with your brain. There we go.
I'm gonna make merch that is just a brain. Because
I like that. It's a brain with arms coming out.
Yeah,
of it.
Brain with muscles.
Yeah.
Train with your brain. Because it is like,
use your noodle.
I love going into the gym and just like doing a knockout, drag out, blood coming out of my nose set where it's like my brain is off. But I have pre-planned that set.
Right.
I have done.
So your brain's not totally absent.
It's just not there right now.
Already done what it needs to do.
Exactly.
Your brain has worked first so that you can have that kind of session now.
Exactly. And one thing I will say for this guy, is this normal or is there something I need to focus on? There are definitely times where the belt specifically is an assistance tool to learn how to brace against. I think one of the big problems people get is they over tighten their belt and they use the belt as a brace rather than you are supposed to brace against the belt. You're supposed to feel the tactile feeling of the belt to allow you to brace.
The belt is a cue.
Yes, exactly. And not just something that's going to, oh my God, your face is turning red because you can't breathe, and that's how you got through the set. You don't want that.
Right.
So there are moments when beltless work on squats and deadlifts can be very impactful to practice your brace outside of having that cue.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, if you're doing submaximal work, you can get a lot of great core strengthening from those movements. Like I don't do core. I don't do sit-ups or any of that. But I have a very strong trunk because of the beltless work that I do in deadlifts and squats and heavy carries and all that type of stuff, right?
Because you've used the belt as a cue, a reminder, a tool to learn how to brace.
Yes.
So that you can do that same bracing
exactly.
in the absence of that cue.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So, use these tools when they're available to you, but don't feel like you have to like spend a ton of money on them. Everything in good time, and feel better when you have them on there. You can go for an extra 5 reps on your AMRAP. That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
You're not doing something wrong. That's a bonus.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was the fitness question of the day. Thank you so much for submitting that question to Reddit, which you will never see us talk about, but cool.
You don't know that.
I do not know that. That's true. If you're watching, thank you.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about what we did over the last weekend? We got a little bit of time.
Yeah, sure. We had a lot of fun.
Man.
Your parents and your brother and his girlfriend came and stayed with us, and it was very fun. We had a lot of shenanigans, a lot of hoopla.
I don't know what it is. I think it's just like when all of us get together, we just feed off of each other's energy.
Yeah.
And so normal, mundane situations
become hilarious.
These absolute, like, I don't know. It's just hooliganism, man. We just go crazy. So we went to go see a movie on Friday, and we went to
the Cinebistro.
Which is like it's a dinner and a show type deal. So you go and you sit down in the theater, you order your dinner.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that
nothing went right.
But it could have been a normal experience. Like frustrating, yes. But my family has the ability to take mundane and turn it into chaos, true unadulterated chaos. And we walked up to the movie theater, and there's a line of like just complaints
at the concession
window. Which is not where you order. We thought,
we were
this is where we order food.
There was a line of people. We're like, oh, let's get in line to order our food to then carry into our theater, which is right here.
That's not what you're supposed to do.
No.
You're supposed to order at your table and the waiters bring it to you. Mm-hmm. But we were like, so we're standing there and
there were no instructions.
No.
We're like, oh, a line. We should stand in this line.
And so I'm standing there and all of a sudden we start to hear just like, people are yelling.
She was like, all I wanted was a salad. Why can't make me a salad? Where's
your manager?
She's like, I've been waiting for, 20 minutes for this chicken Caesar salad.
Oh, man.
I've missed half of my movie. I don't even want the salad.
Just give me a refund.
I just want a refund. I'm tired of waiting. I want to see the manager.
My ears perk up because I'm like, I don't think we're supposed to be in this line.
Well, it was just so funny. Because she's like, I want to see the manager. I want to get a refund. And the girl behind the counter said, I couldn't hear what she said, but it was something to the effect of, the manager's not here. You're going to have to wait a second. She's like, I got to wait for the manager too. Yeah. Oh my God.
She goes, we don't know where the manager is. You're going to have to wait. And
is that what she said?
And the girl up front was like, I'm waiting for her too. You're kidding me. She was so mad.
She was so mad. We're like, okay, maybe let's just go into our theater. This doesn't seem to be a place where we order food. It's just where they make the
Meanwhile,
food.
Me and my brother are laughing hysterically at this moment because my mom was like, oh yeah, we'll go to Cinebistro because they had a great experience with it in Texas. It's going to be awesome. And I am just howling with laughter.
We go into the theater.
Yeah.
Nobody's in there, but what is in there is all of the dirty dishes from probably the previous night.
Yes, because
we got there at like 6:00 and there were like wine glass. I'm like, who?
This was the first showing, I'm pretty sure, in that theater of the night.
Yeah.
So we deduced that yes, this has been left over from the night before.
Nobody cleaned this.
And if you've got to know something about my parents, God bless them, but they're
clean
freaks.
They are.
Like, wow. They would wipe down hotel rooms with Clorox when we were kids. Like, they still do that to this day.
I was going to say, when you were kids, they do that now.
Yeah. God bless them. But so my dad is like pissed.
So we're just like standing there. About 5 minutes later, the like waitress comes in and she was like, oh, it's dirty in here. And we're like, yes, it is. Can you help us?
And then they were like, you've got to leave.
And so she goes, she gets the guy in the suit who I assume is the manager. And he's like, we got to do something about this. We're like, yes, you do. And so they kick us out. We have to stand back outside where the line of angry people is.
Which was so funny for me because they're still complaining out there.
Right. Nothing has improved there. The manager and two waitresses clean the whole place.
Yep.
We go back in. Our seats are soaking wet, but they're clean. They're wet with cleaning products.
Was good.
So I used my I don't know what I used. My phone, my purse. I used something to like fan the seats.
Oh, yeah.
The menu. I used the menu. Duh. We're at a restaurant. I used the menu to fan everybody's seats dry so we don't have like wet Clorox pants.
Right. So what I think is supposed to happen is they're supposed to come take your order during the previews.
I think they're supposed to do it before the previews because remember she took our orders during the previews and it was really loud and we could barely hear her.
Our orders, but people were getting their orders taken like 20 minutes into the movie itself.
Right. I think ideally they would do it when it was quiet, even before the previews, because she starts talking and then the previews start blaring and we can barely hear her. The only thing we did manage to understand was they were out of everything.
Yes. So this is the other thing. They're out of every product under the sun. You try to order like 4 different. Dude.
So with the beers, what happened? Your dad wanted, what did he order?
Stella.
He said, no, he wanted a Heineken.
Yes.
And she's like, great. We're out of some stuff.
She goes, what happens if we don't have
that, like, what's your second choice? He said, how about a Stella? Great. That's your second choice. Awesome. It gets over to me. And I'm like, you know what? I would also like a Stella. And I figured they had it because she hadn't asked for a third choice.
Right.
And she said, okay, and if we don't have that, what would your second choice be?
So
and
I said, immediately start laughing again. And I felt bad because I wasn't laughing at her, but I'm laughing at the situation because I realized she didn't ask Dad for a third option.
Right.
So what happens?
So I say what my third option is, and she's like, and sir, if they don't have the Stella, would that also be your third? And he's like,
Dad goes,
no.
I'll just take a Diet Coke or Cherry Coke. And it was so funny, man. And then she comes back and like they don't have any of the beers. So they just give us Cherry Coke for free. This Dude,
this poor lady.
I'm pretty sure this poor waitress quit halfway through.
Yeah.
Because she told my dad, she was like, I'm so done with this place. I'm going to quit. And my dad was like, I'm so sorry. Like,
and then we never saw her again.
And we never saw her again. So I'm pretty sure she did quit.
She was a very nice lady. And I felt bad that she had such a bad work environment.
We get through all of this
The
chaos.
movie was great, by the way.
Yeah, we saw Guardians 3. I really liked it.
It was so hilarious.
The food comes, and when I tell you the worst food I've ever had.
You ordered popcorn chicken.
I ordered popcorn chicken because I am smart. I know that this is going to be chaos. This is the city of Atlanta. Nothing is fast or efficient in this city.
No.
I know that I'm going to be starving to death. So I had ordered food before we
you
even
already
left.
ate dinner.
I had eaten dinner. So I was just getting a little snack.
Just give me a little popcorn chicken.
It comes and it is stale popcorn with Tyson chicken nugget, frozen chicken. It's like stuck in there. I take one bite of the popcorn. I'm like,
nope.
I say, you know what? This is not for me. It's fine. I didn't even want the popcorn. Let me try the chicken. The chicken is frozen. It is still frozen. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not meant to be eating a second dinner. You know, someone's looking out for me. Let me just not eat this. Meanwhile, everybody's food was terrible.
Yeah.
It was just across the board bad.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just, what I love about my family.
It was just so funny. And we laughed about it, so it was fine.
It can be chaos, and there's moments where, yes, it's a bad thing, and we'll be upset about it. But most of the time, we're just going to laugh about it and be like, you know what? This is par for the course with us. Like, something terrible is going to happen.
Yeah.
So there you go. That was
really funny.
That was Friday. We don't have enough time to talk about the rest of the weekend because we'll
have
going
to save
for an hour.
that for another day.
But man, that was
installment number 2
funny.
of our Memorial Day weekend next week.
Dude.
On the
so
podcast.
if you go to the Cine Bistro, maybe you have a better experience than we did.
Yeah, I think ours might have. Maybe they were just having a bad night.
I think so. I hope so.
I mean, it was a Friday night. You'd think they'd be like at the top of their game. Movie theater on a Friday night. That's when people go to the movies.
This was when The Little Mermaid was coming out. That was the main thing. Was everybody was there to see The Little Mermaid, and they were all mad because none of them had gotten their food.
And so, yeah, they're waiting outside in the concession line for 30 minutes, missing the entire movie.
The whole movie. Because it started at 6:30. We get to the theater at 7:30. And this is when all the people from Little Mermaid are standing out of the concession. So that's an hour in and they haven't gotten the food. Dude, chaos, man.
It was chaos, but it was really funny. So we had some good laughs.
We had some good laughs for sure. All right, we're going to call it there.
All right.
I don't know why every time we do the podcast, the sun goes away.
I know. It's like the sun is out.
And then
we
through,
hit record and it's like, never mind.
Well, thank you guys so much for watching another episode. This is our 21st episode. You want to say your joke that you said beforehand?
Our podcast can drink now.
Dude, she's just the king of comedy. But
the oysters of comedy.
The oyster of comedy. That's
me.
An acquired taste if you didn't get that joke.
Yes. If you didn't get that joke, you haven't been watching our previous podcast. You should go watch the back catalog.
Yes.
And then you'll get all of our inside hilarious jokes.
Yep. Again, if you want to follow the weight loss journey, I think it's going to be really impactful for a lot of people. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram. You can get weekly reels, stories, all that type of stuff. Hopefully you can pick up some tips about how to set up your own calorie deficit if that's something you're interested in. I would recommend that you go do that. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, send it around. We love you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for hanging out with us. Yeah. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Absolutely. Bye.